On today's show, the sights, sounds, and tastes of fall.
It's like a little trigger goes in their brain and they have to have apple cider.
We document the big squeeze in the apple orchard.
Delicious.
Plus, our favorite fall recipe right out of the pumpkin patch. And we celebrate Ely's fall colors.
He's a lot of weight.
With the big one that gets away.
Oh, we got off.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. You know what? Our temperatures are finally starting to drop a little bit. We even have a smidge of snow in the forecast. Truth be told, I love this time of year. So do folks from the local apple orchards and pumpkin patches. Heck, they work all summer long to get ready for guests this time of year. Photojournalist Josh Bryant documents life in the apple orchard.
This is one of the oldest apple sites in Minnesota. This hillside here along Pine Tree Lake was first planted in 1904. My family got out here in 1950 and in 1958 purchased the farm. At that time, it was about 25 acres of apples. Now, 6 kids later and 300 acres more, we have one of the largest orchards in the state of Minnesota. We're a real live working orchard. You can see the apple grading line running. You can take a walk into the orchard. I farm with a brother and 4 sisters, nieces and nephews.
6 of us, adult children, all actively involved. And then we have 2 to 3 of the 3rd generation. You probably have seen JP in the cider room.
I'm the oldest of the 3rd generation. This is our cider room or processing room at Pine Tree Apple Orchards. This is going to be one of the busiest days we've had so far this season. We got a lot of different varieties that are coming in right now.
We are one of the first apple cider presses licensed in the state of Minnesota back in the 1960s. Now obviously we weren't the first people to start making apple cider, but to have a commercial press. We press thousands of gallons a week, and we use a blend of 2, 3, 4, sometimes up to 10 different varieties of apples in each batch.
I think the best combination is probably about 60% tart, 40% sweet. Today we're going to be using McIntosh, Cortland, Harrelson, Honeycrisp, Sweet Tango.
The apples are coming off the grading line as either being little apples or apples that aren't perfect. They're brought into the cider room where the bins are emptied, and they take a little escalator ride up and get ground up by a hammer mill. There, the mashed up apples get pumped into a cider press, and this is a horizontal cider press, so if you can imagine an accordion full of apple mash, and when the accordion squeezes, it squeezes all the juice out. It's homemade. Every batch is a little bit different, but each batch is as good as we can do.
It's a seasonal drink. It's like the weather gets chilly. It's like today. It's in the 60s. It was cold last night, and everybody's coming in and wants hot apple cider. It's like a little trigger goes in their brain, and they have to have apple cider.
Minnesota is a fantastic place to grow apples. Minnesotans love apples. They love their fall trip to the apple orchard, and we couldn't be happier to be a part of that.
What don't I like about apples? You put all this hard work in, you worry, and you work hard, and you worry about the weather, and then you just get to pick and harvest these beautiful apples on the tree, and you eat them fresh, you crunch right into them, or you peel them up and make them into pies, or you make them into this beautiful apple cider that has such full body, like you can taste everything in it. all in once, all mixed together.
It's just a beautiful setting and a great place to come and just take in the harvest.
Up next, the perfect Halloween tale. We go underground in Minnesota's Mystery Cave. Be careful what hides in the darkness.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Connecticut.
Forestville State Park has a most unusual attraction. It's home to a damp, cold underground cave. The spot where Ron Schara found Minnesota's creepy, crawly Halloween critters.
Find out where you're going. Just one. There you go. Everyone can head for their areas.
These folks have an eye for the little brown guy.
They're going to be coming out from underneath it, and lots in the corner.
Here comes one.
10, 11.
Watch him.
Counting bats. It's an annual event here at Minnesota's historic Forestville State Park.
Hey, like the count with the bats.
I like the count with the bats.
Now that 22, was 23.
One by one they fly, as bats do, on nocturnal flights.
Oh, two of them just came out.
Hundreds of bats in search of food.
47 now.
Oh, hear them squeaking up there.
31, 32, 33.
34. 5.
Now to keep track of them all, it drives some people, well, a little batty.
2, 3, 4.
It's really fun, except it's easy to lose count.
89.
The bat count gives park officials a good idea of how many bats live in the area's caves.
We're hoping to see an increase every year for the conservation efforts we put in place at Mystery Cave.
Ah yes, Mystery Cave. For bats, a perfect name. Wide-eyed and stepping carefully, these second and third graders enter the dark and wet limestone cave, home to 2,000 bats who hibernate here in the winter.
Do vampire bats use this cave?
No, they don't. No vampires here.
Inside the cave, the bats keep their eyes closed, while the children keep an eye open for creatures who spend their days upside down.
It's not unusual that bats on our cave tours will fly in very close to people, just maybe a few inches away from their face or circle their heads.
Now, the bats hibernate in the cave for up to 9 months a year, and for good reason. The temperature in the cave stays a constant 48 degrees.
There's 4 different kinds of bats that use Mystery Cave.
While on tour, Netherton tries to dispel common misconceptions about bats. For instance, not all bats carry rabies or get tangled in your hair. Although they can't see color, bats see better at night than you and I, which means there's no such thing as blind as a bat.
A lot of the kids came out and said, wow, I used to be scared of bats, but I'm not anymore.
Netherton says there's lots of good things to say about bats.
They're the only major predator of night flying insects. They can eat 600 mosquitoes an hour. It's incredible what those little creatures can do.
So the next time you're in Mystery Cave or outside counting bats,
78, 79, 80.
just remember, if you're blind as a bat, you'll never truly see just how amazing bats really are.
Whoa!
It's great for us to have the kids and the people experience this and see that bats are not the terrible creatures that, you know, many of us believe them to be.
Wow.
We're doing pheasant pumpkin soup.
Up next, we're off to the kitchen to discover the fall season soup du jour.
Bats.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
It's time for Laura Schara to get wild in the kitchen. Today's recipe is perfect for pheasant camp or the pumpkin patch.
It's officially fall season, and that pretty much means anything we eat or drink must include pumpkin, right, Kevin?
I would say so, yeah.
Well, today we're getting wild in the kitchen with Chef Kevin Kowalson from Firelight Grill House and Cocktail Bar, and today we're making probably one of my personal favorites, which is pumpkin soup, but we're doing pheasant pumpkin soup.
We're gonna put a little pheasant in there. We're gonna leave out the pumpkin spice, however.
Oh, no pumpkin spice in the soup today. All right, so what are the first steps to getting started? I notice you have some pheasant brining.
Yep, yeah, we did a 24-hour brine on our pheasant breast. So we've had it in there for about 24 hours. We're gonna take it out, just pat it dry, and we're just gonna season it with some salt and pepper.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we're gonna braise this, and that is just essentially a low roast with moisture.
Notice you left a little bit of fat on the pheasant. I'm assuming that's a good thing.
Yes, fat is flavor.
Fat is flavor. Leave that on there.
All right, Laura, grab the wine.
Okay. How much wine should I pour in here?
I'd say about a cup and a half. We just need a little bit to come up. We don't need to fully submerge it.
Cup and a half. Does that look about right?
Yeah.
Okay. And why wine versus water?
Flavor.
More flavor. And why not wine? That's the question.
Yeah, so then we're just gonna cover it. Try to get a tight seal on it.
All right, so we're roasting the pheasant at what temperature?
250 for 30 minutes.
250 for 30 minutes, and then we're ready to make our soup. Okay, our pheasant's done roasting and now it's cooling down, so what are our next steps?
Now we're gonna build the building blocks of the soup.
Building blocks of the soup. What do we need for that?
We're gonna use the leeks and the parsnips.
Parsnips, leeks, I'll hand these to you. Anything else?
We're also gonna do the carrot, celery, and then yams. So next we're gonna add a little oil to the pan, and we can just dump this all right in.
All right, we have the carrots and celery going in, and yams.
Yep.
Now, how long does this need to cook?
That'll take about 3 to 4 minutes to sweat that all.
Did you say the vegetables have to sweat?
They do.
We're giving the veggies a workout here, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we're gonna add the pheasant and caramelize it a little bit.
How long does that caramelize?
It should take about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right, Laura, more wine.
Yes, you're speaking my language.
We've
All right.
thoroughly caramelized the pheasant. Now we just want to add about a half a cup.
Half a cup. So that's just a splash here. Oh, look at that beautiful.
Perfect.
Right?
Yep. All right, so we're deglazing the pan with the wine. Now we can add our pheasant stock.
2 cups going right in.
Go ahead and grab the pumpkin puree.
How much pumpkin is this?
That is a cup.
1 cup going right in. And a little maple syrup going right in. Is that Minnesota maple syrup?
Sure is.
Delicious. All right, Kevin, so our soup's been cooking for 30 minutes. It smells delicious.
It does.
And we decided that if you're having a fall harvest dinner, or of course Halloween, fall's in October, if you want to get your kids into wild game, how about serving Halloween dinner in a pumpkin?
Very cute.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
All right, let's scoop it up.
All right.
Let's look at that. All right, Kevin, I'm going in for a taste test.
All right.
This looks so good. Pumpkin is one of my favorite things. That is very good.
Glad to hear.
Kids and adults all alike will love that. All right, there you go. Once again, so easy to do and yet wildly delicious.
Still ahead, we explore Minnesota's stunning autumn wilderness. The story of Ely and the fall. That's next.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ellsworth Cooperative Creamery, Radco Truck Accessories, Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's Minnesota Bound Classic takes us back quite a few years, back to the day when Ron Schara discovered Ely in the fall.
It's known as the town on the edge of America's first wilderness, Ely, Minnesota, a main street filled with canoe rentals to help you paddle off to fish and camp in Minnesota's vast Boundary Waters Canoe Area wilderness. But what happens if you and camping in tents is a pain in the sleeping bag?
Everyone thinks of the Boundary Waters, and they don't realize that just outside of the Boundary Waters, we're sitting here maybe a third of a mile from the boundary waters. But yet you still get the cabins. You know, there's full-service cabins everywhere along the edge of the boundary waters.
So it's wilderness, but with creature comforts.
For certain people, it's the thing they want to do.
And one of the best times to spend nights in a cabin but days in the wilderness is with the advent of autumn. Autumn in the Boundary Waters wilderness, when bull moose change their habits like the leaves of summer change their color. For an angler, autumn on the outskirts of Ely is a tour of solitude, even on lakes where motorboats are allowed. One of those places is a lake called Basswood.
I think Basswood is certainly a large lake, but it's also one that has a great reputation for fishing. I think around Ely there's a lot of places you can go, but Basswood is one of those places that has a draw. I think the potential is there to catch a really a nice fish. There's some excellent walleye fishing, some great smallmouth bass. You might catch a lake trout, and you've got a shot at a nice big northern as well.
Yo, northern pike.
If you're looking on a map, you'd go through Moose Lake up to a lake called Newfound, then onto a lake called Sucker. And from Sucker, there is a truck portage that will portage a boat and a motor up to 25 horse from Sucker into Basswood Lake.
To take the truck portage into Basswood, the U.S. Forest Service also requires a day-use permit.
Because of the permit system, because there are a limited number of permits, there are also a limited number of boats and canoeists and things like that. And that's part of the wilderness philosophy, is that we limit the number of people.
Sometimes it only takes a day on wilderness water to catch the feel of solitude, alone in the morning fog, alone with wilderness wildlife, alone with biting walleyes.
Walleye. An eater, too.
Oh, right, that's lunch.
Huh? That's my lunch. There's a wilderness walleye right there. That gold is just gold, isn't it?
Look at there, even a blind squirrel gets an acorn once in a while.
In autumn, a jig and minnow in the wild catches just about anything.
Oh, he's got a nice bass. Oh, that's a big bass. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's said time stands still in true wilderness. The aging granite seems timeless, but so does a special tree. This one, living on the shores of Basswood.
Well, this is a cedar tree. I don't know, the rumor has it that this thing is about 2,000 years old. They've done some core samples on it.
Old trees in wilderness make you think about things like old stories. Fact is, the first stories to ever reach human ears 1 million years ago were probably told in the boondocks, as we sat around a campfire.
And tonight I'm going to be telling you some stories about the animals that live right around here.
Well, stories are still being told on the edge of Ely's boondocks.
Now, a long, long time ago, way back before the ice covered this ground, way back before people walked this land, a long time ago, people say the birds, every single bird, from the smallest little finch to the biggest eagle, every bird was gray.
He's a lot of weight.
Truth is, time and fishing stories also have no boundaries.
Oh, come on up here, baby. Ooh, nice fish. Nice fish. Oh, look out.
Some of our fishing stories are about big ones.
I think I'll just lip him here if I can.
While other stories don't always have happy endings in the wilderness.
Take it easy. Oh, he got off.
Those stories,
there he goes,
only have lessons about life.
How do you like them apples? What are you laughing about?
Sometimes the big fish gets away. Both Ron and I know that. Don't forget to get outside and check out our fall colors before the snow and cold take care of all those leaves. Ron and Raven are both back next week. In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.